Now, just between Sunday and Monday, 4 KwaZulu-Natal schools were broken into. One of these schools is the eThekwini Primary School at KwaMashu in Durban, where 3 laptops and 50 e-readers were stolen. Since the start of the lockdown, 183 schools have been vandalized around the country. This is a worrying trend indeed. I want to bring in our reporter, Leigh Paulse, who's covering this story for us. Leigh, a very good morning to you. So vandalism is happening in most provinces in the country. How has the Education Department and the police in KwaZulu-Natal dealt with this matter?
Well, it's absolutely shocking for the schools here in KZN, Blaine. And I must make mention of the fact that it's now 28 schools in KwaZulu-Natal. I'm actually coming from this particular school here, eThekwini Primary School. It's been newly built. It's a very smart school, state-of-the-art equipment. And over the past few days, this was the school where vandals actually broke in and stole laptops, e-learning devices, 50 of them, as well as those 3 laptops. And as you can see in KwaMashu, that is desperately needed of these, computers to aid some of the learners. It's absolutely shocking. Just down the road as well, Blaine, there's another school that has also been vandalized. And I mean, authorities here have their hands full. Many people are asking the question, why would you go out and vandalize schools, especially during the lockdown when children are at home and they have to go back to schools after the lockdown? You are basically putting them 10 steps back. How are they going to be able to study? How are they going to be able to further educate themselves if the equipment they need is taken away? I'm just going to bring in the SGB of the eThekwini Primary School, Nonhlanhla Zuma, just to ask her how she's feeling. Obviously, it's a huge blow. SGB, how are you feeling? And tell us, what is the school doing in making sure that this does not happen again?
We are very shocked as a SGP, as a parents, because we don't know when our children is coming back at school, or what we're going to do. We're very shocked as a parents and as a community.
Obviously, you can't really speak to the parents with regards to the matter as the lockdown is currently underway. It's been very difficult to try and get information out there, and I'm sure that information about the school is trickling into the community and parents are finding out that the school was vandalized. But with regards to safety measures, is there security on the premises now, making sure that this does not happen again?
Yes, we are talking with the security, and the security is there at school, and nabo as bama security abazi ukuthi wakufanele bebenze kanjani ngoba labantu ababezonza lento babezo destroy isikole and abantwana bethu ngempela kusazi ukuthi bazoqhubeka ukuthi basebenzise ini ngoba bathatha nama e-reader awu-50 nje. I think we're spending 3 hours the way umonakalo oyiwona la esikoleni. Nama security ekhona lawa abakwazanga ukuthi amelane nalesimo the way abantu bebaningi ngayo ngendlela abachaza ngayo.
And has the MEC come to the school to, give support, show support? What has the Department of Education in KwaZulu-Natal done?
Yeah, uMC yena sokukuninga sekwenzile uyifakile lento ekhulumile kakhulu nasemaredwini wathumela nabanye asebenzisana naba members of MEC bafike nabo bazobona lo monakalo kuningi nje kodwa esekuzanye ukuthi kwenziwe nama investigations ezinathi enesabazali siya investigate just to check ukuthi ngabe obani abenze lesenzo esibi kangaka esikoleni sethu.
I know that the school is also receiving funding from Cotton On and several other organizations. Are you going to be able to try and reach out to them again just to replace what has been taken away?
Siphatheka kabi kakhulu ngoba isikole sethu besanda ukuthola sponsor from Cotton On. uCotton On wasenza sasihle lesikole sabiza millions rand. But now asazi ukuthi kuyimanje lezi zinda lezingqala zinda le infrastructure esidestroyekile ukuthi singayibuyisa kanjani ngani ngoba isikole besikade sifundwe uCotton On sisazoba lezo inkinga ke nokuthi isikole kufuna siqhubeke nokuthi sifanishine asazi sizofanishina kanjani ezilezi izinto zingekho.
Thank you so much for your time. That was Nonhlanhla Zuma, the SGB of eThekwini Primary School, just talking about, the school being vandalized here, Blaine, but also saying that the school was sponsored and they don't know where they're going to get the money from. It was millions that was pumped into the school to aid the children with laptops, with e-learning devices. And if you look at KwaMashu and several other townships where this is happening, the spat of schools that are being vandalized are happening. These are children that desperately need these devices, and they are not as well equipped and well off as some of the other schools. So we do know that several other schools in the area do have technology, subjects that they can take online for the children who are on lockdown. They've got that privilege in order to study online, but these children at the school, this is all that they have. So a very, very heartbroken SGB member, they're saying that, this is unacceptable. But the police are hot on the heels of those perpetrators. They are ensuring that the schools are being monitored. We do know that the police are also circulating in this area as well as the other areas. 28 schools now have been vandalized. There's also another school in Bergville, 3 hours away, that has also been torched, but police are making sure that these schools are monitored and they are ensuring that they will indeed catch these perpetrators.
So Jade Leigh, when you say 28 schools have been vandalized, are you talking from the time the lockdown started?
Yes, Blaine, you sounded a bit muffled there, but the actual torching of the schools and the vandalizing actually started when the lockdown started in the country. That's when these vandals went on a tirade, torching several of the schools. And the community members don't understand why. They're saying that the school is a place for learning and teaching. And by vandalizing the schools, what are you achieving? There's no message that is sent out. They just don't understand why people would actually go this far to take the education away from the children.
All right, Jade Leigh Paulse live for us there in Durban. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting. I want to bring in now KZN Education MEC Kwazi Mshengu, who joins us now via Skype to speak about these issues, vandalism in schools in your province. MEC, pleasure having you on the program, but it's not under good circumstances. We're getting reports now from Jade Leigh Paulse that 28 schools in KwaZulu-Natal have now been vandalized since the lockdown. Why? What's happening there?
Well, it's an unfortunate situation, really, that is happening. Our schools are under attack. The future of our kids and the nation as a whole is also under attack by these criminals. Schools are centers where we build thriving and successful families, communities, as well as the nation. That is why we're saying this is a battle against the future of the nation. 28 schools have been vandalized in the province since the lockdown. We really cannot say exactly why criminals are targeting our schools, except to say we are now suspecting that there may be a coordinated syndicate that is targeting our school. You'll have seen that even in other provinces, this has been the case in Limpopo and Free State as well as in Gauteng. But we are really helpless without the active involvement of our communities, because these criminals, they reside within our communities. They plan this heinous act within the communities. And when they have stolen properties from our schools, they sell it to community members. That is why we are saying the battle should be won with the active involvement of communities. Our communities must stand up and reclaim their streets. They must reclaim the schools as institutions for self-development. Even during the apartheid, when most of the institutions were symbol of the regime, of the then regime, but the freedom fighters, the communities never thought a single day of banning a school, because they understood that when we attain freedom, these schools will be centers where we reconstruct the South Africa we want. Hence our call to say, communities, now it is again us the time when you need to stand up and defend the schools and defend the future of our nation.
Look, in the past, I remember you have said or issued a warning to communities not to harbor suspects or criminals in this regard. But now you're talking about a coordinated syndicate. What do you mean by that?
Look, we are not able to rule out any possibility, and we are saying that there may be a coordinated syndicate because these things are happening thick and fast. Within this period of lockdown, it's 28 schools that have been broken into and vandalized. And every time a school is broken into, we continue to receive calls that these things will not stop until you give private security the job to protect your schools. And as a Department of Education, we have remained opposed to that. And currently we are still opposed because we believe that the best and lasting solution is when community members stop harboring these criminals, is when community members give necessary information to police. And I also do want to indicate that I am also going to meet with the MEC for community safety in the province to raise our concern that there are instances or cases where suspects have been apprehended and found in possession of the equipment that were stolen from our schools. And they are currently roaming around the street after getting bail, and there is no progress in those cases. And we believe that we are also failing to send a strong message from the government side to say our schools are not playgrounds.
What sort of information are you getting from the police with regards to the investigations about this so-called coordinated syndicate? What sort of information are they giving you?
Well, so far there's nothing really tangible that the police have given us, except to say we must help them to get lead information, and we need to mobilize the community to give such information. We have also reported a number of cases of burglaries before even the lockdown, and we are concerned that we are not winning in terms of or getting breakthrough in such cases. A number of our schools have been broken into, and no consequences have actually followed. So we will be looking into a number of aspects, including obviously continuing up to step up the security features in our schools. But as you will know, in the past, they've even killed our security guards. 4 of them were killed in last year. Now, it shows the arrogance of these criminals to say they will do whatever they want to do in order to get into our schools, and probably send a message to say until the government do whatever they want, they will continue to break into our schools.
So what's the current situation with regards to the lockdown? Are security guards on site during this lockdown in all schools in KwaZulu-Natal?
Well, not in all schools in KwaZulu-Natal. We have not been able to provide security guards in all our schools. You know, we have about 6,000 schools in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And during this process of lockdown, we're still in a process of recruiting more security guards to guard our schools. So there are security guards in certain parts of our schools, but there are schools that still don't have security guards. But as I'm saying, they also seem to be insufficient because they are also vulnerable. They get killed, basically, by these criminals who are actually undermining the future of our nation. Hence our calls to say it is not only at a time when the security guard or at a time when the criminal enters the school premises that we must take action. The communities must stop harboring these criminals. They must give necessary information on their whereabouts, and they must stop buying stolen properties.
2 questions before I let you go. One with regards to the immediate impact that this is having on learners who are battling with this lockdown procedure, trying to learn online. Now you have vandalism of about 28 schools. So what's being done today, tomorrow, to secure our schools and make sure that no further equipment is stolen?
Well, immediately after this interview, I will be joining the Provincial Command Council, where we are reporting this matter to the Premier and the entire council. And we believe that there should be, in the process, allocation of law enforcement agencies in and around our schools, continuous visibility and patrolling, so that at least we can mitigate against the further attacks of our school. Because what is clear is that criminals are taking advantage of the period where people are basically locked in their households and there's limited movement. So they know that they can hardly be seen when they are doing these things. Hence our request to the Premier that they should allow some law enforcement agencies to have sort of permanent stationing in and around our schools in the province.
You say you need the help of the community in order to put paid to such crimes. What sort of engagements are you having with the community in this regard?
We have a number of community campaigns that we started since last year, September, where we launched the comprehensive safety strategy of our schools. Wherever we go, we continue to pass a message. We're engaging a number of stakeholders, Amakosi, the councillors, and other civic organizations in our communities to say they must continue also to mobilize the communities of the province to ensure that they isolate these criminals. So it's a rolling campaign that we have as a Department of Education. I am happy also to indicate that in our previous cabinet meeting, the Premier instructed all the MECs to make sure that they also carry this responsibility of mobilizing communities to protect our schools, because we all appreciate that these are centers for community development. So even the MEC for, say, human settlement and public works, before he starts a particular program, he needs to indicate or actually run a program where he will be mobilizing and advocating the communities to protect our schools.
Kwazi Mshengu, MEC for Education in KwaZulu-Natal, we thank you very much indeed for your time. Be well. All right, that was the MEC in KwaZulu-Natal, but we're talking about over 180 schools that have been vandalized since the start of the lockdown. We're talking about March 26. That's certainly a worrying issue. We're talking about provinces like Gauteng and Mpumalanga and the Northwest reporting similar instances of vandalism. So you've heard from the MEC in KwaZulu-Natal what they're trying to do in order to put pay to this. So we will keep on this story to find out the very latest in terms of the way forward.